Steve Bannon's in jail, and so while he's there, I guess the wheels have come off, fucking on Frank TV and the War Room and all this kind of stuff. This is a guy, Mike McCormick, says they call him a Biden whistleblower. He's written anti-Biden books. That's what he does, and he, I guess, puts them face out on his empty shelf. But this is he says former Biden stenographer calls Trump assassination attempt government backed, which is an extraordinary claim. And we got probably just enough time to dive into it before Biden speaks. So let's see.
And walk us through more on getting to the bottom of things.
And she does mean moron.
The sort of cover-up that we've seen now for months, if not years, on Joe Biden's health or lack thereof. You know, from your perspective as someone who's been around these people, especially the kind of different, like I was saying, factions within the Democratic Party, you know, what was the interest to keep Joe Biden propped up for so long? And now you have Kamala Harris coming in sort of the 11th hour, at least what looks to be Kamala Harris. How do you see sort of that whole system?
By the way, this is their reaction across the board. Well, and they're all pissed that they now have got to rework their argument, and it's not going to, because their argument hasn't been with a policy. And I mean, the border is perfect. It's another great example of how, like, Kamala Harris is the perfect person for them to, you know, is the perfect pushback on what they've said, because as someone who was in charge of the border as the VP, and they put her in charge of it, and the numbers have improved, Donald Trump also killed the border bill, and therefore the Democrats are in a much better position to have this argument than they may have been before.
That narrative developing the way it did.
Well, I think what happened was Joe and his advisors were hardcore in setting up this rig. They rigged 2020. And they
rigged 2020 from the outside. So Donald Trump was president of the United States of America, and a private citizen and his advisors rigged an election.
Figured they could get away with it again. And when his health really started flag, you know, I used to travel with Dr. Kevin O'Connor. Doc O'Connor was a good guy with me, but man, did he do a terrible job for the country. You know, he's got a patient, Joe Biden, so he listened to his patient, but he was paid by American taxpayers. He should have been honest with the world and said, you know what, we got a guy who's not able to do this.
Yeah, no, exhaustion is not incapacitated.
And Kamala Harris was certainly in on that. So they ran this whole...
And Kamala Harris was certainly in on that?
Honest with the world and said, you know what, we got a guy who's not able to do this. And Kamala Harris was certainly in on that. So they ran this whole primary season. All these Democratic voters are out there. They've got to be sick to their stomachs.
No, I'm good.
I voted for Joe Biden. And now what happens? He's getting pulled off of the election ticket. That's crazy.
No, I'm okay.
So behind the scenes, it was Doc O'Connor, the advisors, his inner.
Yeah, look, at your age, it happens. People forget, they lose track of where they were, you know, what their point was, if they even had one in the first place. They forget names. Oftentimes they will close their eyes while they're speaking. You know, it's going to happen. Anyway, slow down and just finish your thought.
Inner circle, the Tony Blinkens and the Mike Donilons and the Tom Donilons, those guys.
Yeah, the Donilon twins.
Steve Ricchetti. But the doc was in on it, and so was the family. So when it finally became obvious that Joe couldn't go, Joe's been a quitter. There's two things Joe Biden is. One, he's a quitter, and two, he's a criminal. So, you know.
So, and he was able to beat Trump while being both, because Trump is that big a loser? Okay.
He quit the race. That doesn't mean he gets out of it. I think we got to put together an impeachment process for Joe Biden. If there's a good impeachment process in the House, the Oversight Committee, if they get real witnesses in there like me, who saw Joe Biden commit a crime on Air Force Two, we can go under oath, and that becomes the evidence. They've always said we don't.
I think this is because Hunter flew over to China. That's what this guy's predicating it on.
Have evidence to impeach Joe Biden. Yes, you do. You just haven't called the right witnesses and put them under oath. So
why wouldn't they do that? You would think, they run things. They've been desperate to try and undermine Joe Biden. So that, what do you think? They were just trying to get him on his heels so they could get what they wanted. And so they would go all the way up to the line without calling the perfect witness. Or are you an asshole? And they know it. And if they call you, you'll fuck up the whole thing.
I'd love to talk to Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene or Congressman Gates. Those guys can
just anybody who fucks around and finds out for a living now.
Put me on that witness list, and I will testify under oath. Joe Biden committed a crime in 2014 on Air Force Two with Jake Sullivan, and that conspiracy went through all the way to his presidency right now. And he may have presidential immunity, but
why? What would be that crime?
It doesn't begin until he becomes president. So he doesn't get past the 7-year statute of limitations.
It doesn't matter. He has total immunity now. He could just pardon himself thanks to the Supreme Court, and Donald Trump's lawyers, I guess, made that so. So I guess you're fucked. And if anything you say about him is true, I'm surprised you're not in hiding, I guess.
So Joe Biden's a criminal, and we have to get to the bottom of it.
I thought you were the bottom. Aren't you the bottom? You sound like the bottom. You sound like if you're going to get to the bottom, you were there. You saw it happen. That's the bottom. If you can, what bottom are we talking about?
So many crimes that they committed, and that's what I think they had to push him out of there because they realized once.
Why? He's now got total immunity. Right? Wouldn't he just be able to pardon himself?
When Trump survived what was obviously an assassination attempt with
well, it was an assassination attempt, yes.
Government backing?
No, not with government backing. Also, if he survived, you're saying the deep state can miss.
They had to get Joe out of there because he's the guy that's going to deal. You know, he's not going to make a deal, and he's going to have to. They got to cover him up now. So,
yeah, that totally made sense. Look, you can't talk about an old man sundowning and then toss word salad on. Well, I was about to say TV, but this is on a shitty Mike Pillow internet channel.
Joe Biden's a criminal, and we got to get to the bottom of why all these things were done to keep him in and what he did to get in there.
He got elected.
And walk us through a little bit more your thoughts on this shooting. Obviously Kimberly Cheadle stepping down today. I think it's sort of a similar, dare I say, limited hangout approach that we see, even frankly with Joe Biden stepping down, thinking that it'll sort of take the heat, the pressure off of people wanting to hold them accountable. But
you can't hold him accountable. He has total immunity.
But what is your assessment?
He didn't do anything. But also, if he did, he's got total immunity.
Thus
official act.
Far, we've got a few minutes. I'll hold you through the break. But on the sort of cover-up that we're already sort of seeing developing with regard to
no, there literally more details are coming out.
The shooting.
Literally more details are coming out. Like a cover-up would mean they would lock down what we do know and then start walking some of it back to create obfuscation. Well,
there's two sides to it. There's the criminal cover-up, so they're covering the crimes. But then there's the polling. And there's the astonishingly fantastic Republican National Convention.
That was astonishingly fantastic. I mean, Kid Rock, boom. The Hulkster tearing his shirt off. Donald Trump giving a long, rambly speech with a dead guy's uniform on stage that he forgot all about. Boom. Trump falling asleep during Don Jr.'s speech, and his response to Eric's speech was, "What was that?"
So President Trump is out in front. He's doing a fantastic job.
All right, now I at one point I was like, maybe this guy's just sort of deluded or he's got an axe to grind. Now I just know you're insane.
He's got a great vice president. J.D. Vance is going to be superb at what he does.
Oh, okay. So I'm guessing this was filmed. This aired yesterday. Okay, no, you don't have any excuse. You haven't seen his Middletown, Ohio speech?
I mean, I've worked with 3 vice presidents. I like J.D. Vance a lot.
Well, then that might explain why you don't like Joe Biden, and that might explain what kind of human being you are. Considering you're the kind of guy who, like, the 2 people you name drop that you want to talk to is a woman who fucked around on her husband at the health clubs that they own, never paid back her PPP loans, and a guy who's credibly accused of child sex trafficking.
He speaks straight and he's smart. And he's a lot smarter than Joe Biden was. And he's not as sleazy, dirty as Joe Biden was. So that's all good for the future. I think that's what they had to respond to.
Is it just me, or do you get the feeling this guy's selling a book that no one is buying?
Too was one of the things, working in the White House press office as long as I did, the thing I learned.
Whoa, wait a minute. You were on Air Force 2 as a White House press correspondent? You weren't inside the... You're not a whistleblower. You're just a reporter.
Is how scared the president and the
how scared
White House is of us.
That's how scared they are.
In the White House press office as long as I did, the thing I learned is how scared the president and the White House is of us.
Yeah, they're very scared of you.
They are scared of us. They
are scared. I see. You just left the D off the first time, but good way to clean it up.
Scared of us of learning what's really going on behind the scenes.
Luring?
Scared the president and the White House is of us. They are scared of us. They are scared of us of learning what's really going on behind the scenes. And that's what's happening.
Yes, luring you what's happening behind the scenes.
Right now. And they don't know what to do. They're scrambling with the deep state is scrambling, and they're scrambling on all different fronts. It's starting to unravel, and it's unraveling fast.
It's not, though. At all.
We have to be careful. The minute you walk out your front door, you have to understand. It's like what Scott Presser was just saying. We're in enemy territory. The Democratic Party is a machine, and they're a machine to put us away for good.
Okay, by the way, he's right. But except I am the Democratic machine. I'm Hal Sparks. You're watching Hal Sparks Maker Worldwide. I'm going to leave you guys right now so you can go watch Joe Biden's statement, and I will see you guys tomorrow at the regular show time. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else, and have a beautiful night. And we're all going to be very emotional, I have no doubt, watching what Joe says. We live in interesting times. That's all I'm going to say. So be well. See you guys later.